Hey everybody, let me know in the chat if we have audio. Can you guys hear me? Testing. I remember last night we had some difficulties with the audio. It's looking like everybody's coming in saying we have sound, so that's great. All right, give me a moment and we will get started shortly. All right, good evening everybody and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is October 24th, 2023. It's about 8:58 p.m. Eastern Time here in New York City. Hopefully all of you are doing well, and hopefully we have the audio on. I remember from last night's live stream, we actually did the entire introduction with zero audio. So hopefully tonight will be a little bit different and we can get things kicked off in a normal way here. But today was a very, very important day on Wall Street. As we were reviewing on our Sunday night live stream, we are pretty much in the thick of earnings season, right? Last week we had all of the major banks report earnings. Earnings season always kicks off with the major financials. And now this week, what's really taking the majority of the shine away from the financials is all of the big tech earnings. And that really kicked off today with two of the largest tech companies pretty much on planet Earth. We heard from Google or Alphabet today after the bell, and we also heard from Microsoft. And we're going to break down those two earnings reports today and specifically talk about the cloud computing units of each in particular company. Now, anytime Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, and Oracle report corporate earnings, I always like to focus on the cloud computing sector. Now, Amazon, as we know, has Amazon AWS, or Amazon Web Services. Microsoft has their Azure Cloud Service, and Google has Google Cloud. I believe on all three, looking forward into the future. If you think about a lot of the technologies that are coming down the pike and a lot of the emerging technologies that are already available to us today, such as machine learning and artificial intelligence, I think cloud computing is only going to grow, or I should say the demand for cloud computing and that power is only going to expand. I would even argue that we are in the very, very early innings for demand for cloud computing, particularly as AI rolls around. So we'll talk about that tonight. Baseline in terms of earnings, Wall Street was expecting about $1.45 in EPS for Google. Revenue, Wall Street was expecting about $75.5 $1.97 billion. Google beat on both the top and the bottom line, and I thought it was a pretty good report. They came in at $1.55 worth of EPS on $76.69 billion worth of revenue. Now, another encouraging thing was specifically the YouTube advertising revenue. We started to see YouTube advertising re-accelerate and actually beat analysts' expectations on the street. Revenue for YouTube advertising alone, check this out, came in at $7.95 billion when the expectation was for $7.81 billion, so a pretty big beat there. Now, the only category that Alphabet failed to supersede analysts' expectations was unfortunately in the cloud computing unit, but it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news at all. If anything, I think Google is making massive strides and major strides as they continue to build out and gain market share in the cloud computing sector. So cloud computing revenue came in at $8.41 billion when the majority of analysts were expecting about $8.64 billion. So a little bit of a miss. I should say nothing major. The stock was down after hours on that news, but I think we need to zoom out a little bit and focus on profitability. If you've been watching this live stream and listening to this broadcast for quite some time, one of the things that you would have heard me say time and time again, going back 2 years, is that Google's cloud operations were not profitable, right? They were consistently losing money, and we're just starting to see that cloud computing unit turn profitable. So this quarter, operating profit came in at a positive $266 million. That's pretty impressive, being that if we compare the same quarter last year, the operating profit was negative. They didn't have any operating profit. They lost about $440 million in their cloud computing unit. So I think from here on out, you're going to see profitability hit the bottom line and continue to have operating profits grow. So that is really good news. So even though we missed a little bit on the revenue front, operating profit is there. $266 million worth of profitability in the cloud computing unit. And I should say, last but not least, as it relates to Alphabet's earnings, one of the major things that the YouTube segment has been trying to do, or at least battle with, is find a solid competitor to TikTok, right? Because TikTok, I think you all know where I stand on TikTok. Not a big fan. I don't have the application. I don't use it. But I don't think we can just totally ignore and say that TikTok isn't a material threat to the business of YouTube, right? Significantly taking away and chipping at market share. So obviously we have YouTube Shorts, and we have a little bit of an update as it relates to the daily viewers on YouTube Shorts. And when I heard this come up on the earnings call, I was actually quite surprised. I think you guys are going to be surprised to hear this too. Listen to how crazy some of these numbers are. So YouTube Shorts, as of recording this video, now does 70 billion views per day. That's pretty insane. So YouTube Shorts is up to 70 billion daily viewers. If you think back to the very beginning of the year, so January 1st, YouTube reported 50 billion daily viewers. So in a little less than a year, I mean, they've added 30 billion viewers a day. So as you look down the road, one of the things that I'm going to be most focused on is now how can YouTube monetize YouTube Shorts? It's very easy to monetize longer form content, particularly standalone longer form videos, podcasts on the YouTube platform and live streams, but it's kind of difficult to do that with YouTube Shorts. Now, I don't really consume that many shorts, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you're scrolling through YouTube Shorts, do you see advertising? Do you see, every other, short that you scroll through? Are they playing ads? I don't know. They don't give us an exact breakdown, but the good news is YouTube advertising is ticking back up. So we'll cover that in a little bit more detail. We'll go into Microsoft's earnings. Now, Microsoft was actually up after the bell. If you go to ticker symbol MSFT, that is the ticker symbol for Microsoft, It was up about 13 points after hours, or about 4%. But if we look at Alphabet, ticker symbol GOOGL, we were actually down. We're down about 8 points, or about 6%. The last thing I'll say before we kick off this live stream is one of the most important reasons why we need a hyper focus on the mega cap tech stocks during earnings season is because these tech behemoths, these giants, have grown into such massive companies that their market capitalizations are so huge. And if you think about the S&P 500, the weighting is based upon market capitalization. For example, Microsoft alone makes up 6.85% of the entire S&P 500. So there's a lot riding on the coattails of Microsoft's earnings report. Had they bombed earnings and the stock was down 5% after hours as opposed to being up 5%, well, that's probably going to drag down the index a lot. Now, Alphabet makes up about 4.25% of the entire S&P 500. So think about that for a moment. Just two stocks make up over 11% of the entire index on just two companies. So it's very important that when earnings season rolls around, we pay very, very close attention to those leaders because they have such massive market caps. The company with the largest market capitalization in the S&P 500 is Apple, ticker symbol AAPL. Makes up about 7% of the entire index, and I believe they're reporting earnings on November 2nd. So we will make sure we do a deep dive there. Before we start, I just really quickly want to check out the bond market. So if you go to cnbc.com/bonds, once again, cnbc.com/bonds, we'll take a look at the yield curve. You'll notice on the shorter end of the curve, yields actually went up today. On the longer end of the curve, yields went down. If you look at a 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, we're trading at 4.81%. That's a pretty big move in bonds, guys. Just 2 days ago, or I should say on Friday, intraday, we hit a 5% yield on the 10-year. So that's a lot of money moving into the bond market. You can probably call it a flight to safety trade, perhaps. You got to think about the way the bond market moves, right? There's an inverse correlation in the debt market. As money is moving into the debt market and as people are buying bonds, that puts downward pressure on yields. And as bonds are selling off, well, yields go up. So it's interesting to see what's happening with the yield curve here. But still, I mean, look at a 1-month T-bill, over 5%, almost 5.5% on the 1 month. Might as well look at the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage since we're here. According to Bankrate.com, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage in the United States is 7.98%. That's up about 6 basis points from a week ago, but it is also down about 2 basis points from a couple days ago when the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage hit 8%. Now, I would like to remind you, if you did miss the live stream or you've missed any of the other live streams and you want to be caught up on exactly what's going on in the stock market, all of the major companies reporting earnings, you want to be kept up to date on the debt market, fixed income, and real estate, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen. That will take you to our proprietary research that we send out to all Walks in Wall Street subscribers for free every other Thursday after the market closes. So this Thursday, it's coming up in 2 days here, after the closing bell, check your email and you will receive the second edition of the Behind the Street newsletter. 2 Thursdays ago, we did an entire breakdown on the yield curve. We talked about the latest CPI data, and we gave a little bit of a forecast as it relates to the outlook on monetary policy, because we have the next FOMC meeting coming up on the 1st of November. So I'm going to go ahead, close up the laptop here. We will get right into the stream. And once again, go ahead, scan the QR code, punch in your email address, and you will be signed up to receive all of our research for free every other Thursday. So give me one moment and we will get started. Alrighty, team, just let me clip the microphone on here. Now, thank God the audio works today. I'm not sure if you guys remember. Yesterday on the stream, I did an entire introduction, and it was totally, I just was talking to myself. The audio went out, so I apologize for that. But let's see who we have in the chat tonight. Let me go ahead and take the QR code down. I guess it'll be appropriate to tell you guys where we are starting off. We are standing right outside of the beautiful 432 Park Avenue building. Check this out. Oh, but additionally, guys, I gotta tell you something just amazing, okay? Speaking of Billionaires Row, we are standing outside of 432 Park Avenue, but today I had the great joy of going to an exclusive broker open house event / party at one of the most exclusive penthouses at One Full Real Estate Brokers at Douglas Elliman. He has a very exciting listing coming on the market very soon. It is the entire 83rd floor at 157, and today from the hours of 3 to 4 p.m. I was able to take an exclusive tour of the full floor apartment. Just unbelievable. I was so blown away, and I could say without a doubt that was the most stunning apartment I have ever been in my entire life. So coming soon, the 83rd floor at 157, the first ever building to be put up on Billionaires Row, will be coming to market yet again as a resale. You have unobstructed views looking all the way to the George Washington Bridge. You can see all of Central Park. Every single major building on Billionaires Row you could see. And from the south facing, so all of the bedrooms have unobstructed views of the Empire State Building and all the way down to One World Trade Center. So just an amazing event today. So thank you to Noble Black and your team for hosting that. Unbelievable experience, absolutely incredible. And that apartment is about 3 floors above Bill Ackman's apartment. So it's an incredible place. We are now standing here on Park Avenue, West 57th Street in Park, right outside of the Aston Martin. I was about to say the Aston Martin Residences. I'm thinking I'm back in Miami, but the Aston Martin showroom. All right, now let's say hello to all the chat. Most important part of the stream. Teresa Diaz is here. Boomer Tuber, what's up? Colton Manning, Andre Brown, Mark SRT. Sharon says, was it better than 130 William? Yes, it was. I think it was better than 130 William for sure. Abdul is here. Wendy England, Michael Vosper, what's up? Good to see you. Shadowship, Razzle Dazzle 786, Meld, Dutchman. Thank you everybody for joining on this action-packed day of earnings. Sabrina Fair, LA0070. What is going on? Lance says, hey Tom, hope you have a new microphone. It sounds good tonight. You know, we don't. It's the same exact microphone from last night. I really don't know what went wrong. Maybe I had a little bit of water in the microphone that prevented the connection from being appropriate, but I don't know. Thank you for joining us tonight, though. Abdul is here. Daryl, good to see everybody. All right, let's head downtown. But first, let's walk over to Fifth Avenue. You'll notice all of, pretty much the entire street is barricaded off. I'm not sure if the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, is in New York, but I don't know, something's going on. They pretty much bordered off the entire Madison Avenue and 56th Street. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll see. Now, any sort of first impressions from corporate earnings today? We had 2 of the most, I would say, successful companies in the world, Microsoft and Alphabet, reporting earnings today. Now, there was a little bit of mixed feelings on Wall Street. Many people disappointed by Alphabet's earnings report today. But in my opinion, based upon the market environment that we have going on, I thought these were really solid reports. I thought these were really, really solid quarters from these two companies. I mean, think about just profitability. And this number really blows my mind. I mean, just try to wrap your head around this. Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT, if you think about net income, $22.9 billion just this quarter. That's insane. It's kind of nuts how these numbers are getting so massive now. You know, software businesses, cloud computing businesses, reoccurring revenue models are so lucrative, mainly because they have such high profit margins and high gross margins. $22.9 billion. Profitability at Microsoft is up 27% year over year. It's an amazing quarter. Hey, Hawaii, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Action Kids, it's great that YouTube earnings were higher. Might have to do something with YouTube banning ad blockers and forcing people to turn them off. Yeah, I mean, you do make a good point. You know, YouTube revenue was up in a pretty big way. And according to the CEO, they're actually making pretty big headway with competing with TikTok. They announced their average daily viewership volume on YouTube Shorts. And it's kind of mind-boggling when you hear that not only the numbers, but just the growth, right? On a year-over-year growth trajectory. I believe there's about 50 billion daily views on YouTube Shorts now. That's pretty insane. 70 billion daily views on YouTube Shorts. That's up from 50 billion just at the start of the year. It's really insane growth. Now, what YouTube has to figure out now is how do you monetize Shorts? Because it's very, very hard to run traditional advertising on short form content, short form video. It's more lucrative the longer form content, right? You think about podcasting, you think about live streaming. That is really where the moneymaker is, but we'll see. Yeah, Colton Manning says billion. Yeah, 70 billion daily views. That's just insane for YouTube Shorts. I mean, think about the reach on that alone.
It's not 6 p.m.
You know what? I think the former president is... I mean, Donald Trump must be in Trump Tower tonight, everybody. Maybe somebody who's following all the court cases could advise us, but very, very seldom do you have the entire street by Trump Tower blocked off unless he's here. Oh, Jeff from Southern Tier, New York says he is here. Copy that. That means traffic is going to be really bad on Fifth Avenue. Major Mims is here. Says short form is meant to be like an advertisement, kind of like your hook into other contacts. I think that's an appropriate assessment for sure. Definitely. Absolutely. You know, it's just going to be... Because I don't consume that many YouTube Shorts. But for those of you in the chat who do, what is the advertising experience on that? Like every other YouTube short you watch, it plays an advertisement? I don't know. I've never seen that, but I believe YouTube was kind of forced into this because TikTok was coming in and quite literally eating their lunch. So, I mean, they had to sort of scramble with the competitor one way or the other. But hey, John Lag is here. Says hello, everybody. Thank you for streaming today. Hope you're great. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. Mark Francis says I'm addicted to YouTube Shorts. I think a lot of people are, right? I was reading this Harvard Business Review study about attention spans and average view duration. And particularly for YouTube videos, or just videos in general that are below 10 minutes, if you have a particular video that doesn't do some sort of a cutaway within the first 10 seconds, the view duration, which is essentially the retention of the audience, drops significantly, like falls off a cliff. That's why some of the most, if you've ever watched a YouTube video with hundreds of millions, even billions of views, chances are the frame keeps switching. Like every 3 to 5 seconds, it'll continue to switch. And that's where, content is really headed. You got to keep the audience's attention. And some people may like that, some people may not. I don't really consume much short form content. I kind of like podcasts, live streams, things like that, but you kind of gotta develop a business to compete with the space, right? If that's where the world is turning to, you kind of have to adapt and go there. And I think that's what YouTube is doing. They seem to be doing a pretty good job of it. They had a pretty decent quarter. This is the corner of 5th Avenue and 57th Street. What we're looking at right now is the brand new Tiffany building. They put about $500 million into this, $500 million bucks. The renovations are fantastic, but unfortunately there was a fire there just right when it opened. Hawaii says, yeah, I watch short videos on Instagram. I don't have TikTok. It's going to be interesting when Meta reports earnings, right? To see what the user growth of that is. Sharon says, what podcasts do you recommend? I like a lot of the Bloomberg originals. If you just go to Bloomberg's YouTube channel, they have a lot of really good podcasts with a lot of major Wall Street industry titans. Like they'll have Ackman on a lot, they'll have a lot of big private equity guys, like the Apollos of the world, things like that. More longer, kind of drawn out content is what I like to consume. Now, speaking of another tech behemoth, I think in about a week now, this company is going to be reporting right in front of our face. Apple, I believe they're up on November 2nd. November 2nd, I believe they report. But after this week, it's crazy. It seems like earnings season just started. But after this week, 18% of the market cap, well, I should put it like this. 18% of the market cap of the S&P 500 reports this week. And that's 4 stocks, which is absolutely wild. And we were talking about this before. We're looking at the Plaza Hotel now. But it seems as if bigger companies are going to continue to get bigger. And I think about it like compounding interest, right? Once you start to roll a snowball down the hill, there's really no escaping that terminal velocity. These companies just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's really no stopping it. I was drawing out this thesis, and it's going to be written up and sent to everybody via email on Thursday, but I think this higher interest rate environment is only going to exacerbate that trend. You're going to see larger companies getting even larger, and you're going to see some of the smaller cap companies, particularly the ones that are publicly traded in the Russell 2000, potentially go bankrupt and go out of business. And the reason for this is mainly because of the cash balance of a lot of those companies, right? Look at the cash balance of Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, all of these massive tech companies. They have billions of dollars in cash on their balance sheet, very, very little leverage, right? So if anything, higher interest rates could potentially be used to their advantage. But a lot of smaller companies that need access to the debt market, right, need to raise money, need to borrow money, and even have existing debt outstanding, well, it's going to become extremely, extremely difficult for those companies to service that debt. So unfortunately, what I think is you're going to see companies like Apple, like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google just get so much bigger because as these smaller companies start to, teeter on the verge of bankruptcy, they could just come in and buy them for pennies on the dollar. They have the cash, right? They have a ridiculous amount of cash. So that's definitely something we need to be looking at. Hey, Dan Zhang says, Tom, have you ever spent the night at the plaza? I have not. I would like to, but I have not. Hey, Ben Cunningham says, content creators get the triple dip now. They make one video and post it on 3 different platforms. Yeah, a lot of people do, like repurposing the content, right? Hey, Madison32, Lance, good to see you. But here's an optimistic take for everybody. Think about, the global macro environment that we have going on right now. Think about everything you're seeing on the news. Okay, I want everybody to really conceptualize that. All of the fear, all of the horrible things. You would think the world is coming to an end, right? If you turn on Fox News or CNN, depending on what side of the aisle they're trying to persuade, they're like, the economy's in the tank, everything is going down the drain, and we're going to have the biggest financial crisis of our life. Then you have Microsoft report today after the bell, and their profitability was up almost 30% year over year. I'll say that again. Conceptualize all of the craziness that we've been hearing, right? All of the fear, particularly the financial fear that's been going around. And then you have one company, Microsoft, in this environment, guys, in this crazy environment that we're in, profits are up almost 30%. To the tune of $22.9 billion in a quarter. 1 quarter, net income, $22.9 billion. But see, a lot of people the majority of people, I should say, in the country don't pay attention to this. If you asked your neighbor, hey, Microsoft, do you know how much money they made in net income just last quarter? They wouldn't know, right? If anything, they'd think they were losing money. No, it's $22.9 billion in 1 quarter. So there's good American companies and great American businesses that are thriving in this environment. Now, my question to all of you is this. Here's my question, right? I'm going to try to give it a more optimistic spin tonight, because I believe we've just been inundated with fear. Sometimes rightfully so, but here's my question to the audience. The technology we have today is going to look like the worst technology, almost laughable. We're literally going to be looking back at today's live stream 10 years from now and laughing, saying, oh my gosh, look at how horrible the quality was. I can't believe we used to do that. It's only going to get exponentially better. And with advancements in cloud computing, with advancements in semiconductor technology, and advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning, well, guess what? If you think Microsoft's profit or Microsoft's net income of $22.9 billion in the last quarter here in 2023 was big, if you had to make a directional bet, do you think Microsoft's going to be making more money in the next 10 years than they are now? I would argue probably a lot more, okay? I mean, think about everything that's going on with, OpenAI, ChatGPT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, AI, right? There's been I was reading this report my friend sent me from McKinsey. The operational efficiencies and the gross margins are set to absolutely expand and go through the roof with AI, right? Streamlining processes, driving costs lower, increasing profit margins. So if you had to ask me, I think the best is yet to come for particularly a lot of these companies who have direct exposure to artificial intelligence. And who are those companies? Well, the companies that own the infrastructure. Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Oracle, right? They own the cloud computing infrastructure. Hey, Chris Tompkins. Hey, Chris. Says you should note that Microsoft is moving its cash on hand into OpenAI. who in turn spends it on Azure, massively boosting their booked profit. Yes. Now, Microsoft reported some additional data on that. I'll just quickly orient everybody where we are. We're standing here on Central Park South, so we'll talk about OpenAI. So Azure OpenAI has 18,000 customers right now, according to Microsoft, well, according to the CEO all of a few minutes ago when they reported earnings. In July, okay, so from July to now, customers went from 11,000 to 18,000. Now again, if we had to make a directional bet, as AI becomes to be more advanced, as more people continue to use it, do you think that customer base is going to grow, or do you think it's going to shrink? Now maybe there'll be ebbs and flows, for sure, but if you have a 5 to 10 year time horizon, I think it's going to be massive. Hey, Zen Pyro says every time Apple or some company comes out with a new product, it's pretty much outdated by the time it hits the market to start with. This is Zen Pro. Yeah, I mean, the technology moves so fast. It's crazy. Hey, Kevin Grant says the Earth existence 24-hour clock. All right. Hey, Austin City Limits, what's up? Good to see you. Hey, Lilith says good evening, Tom and everybody. I don't know, do you guys think I'm wrong, right? I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, this is just the very, very beginning. If you listen to all the experts, right, all of the data scientists, all of the computer scientists, software engineers, they think we're in the early innings of a massive super cycle in artificial intelligence, in machine learning. So if you think things are, if you think companies are making money hand over fist now, just wait. Mark Francis 076 says it's a fast growing market. Madison 32 says, Tom, have you heard any news about bank runs? I've been hearing whispers about people pulling lots of money out of Chase Bank. Not really. I mean, essentially what we had with Silicon Valley Bank collapse was a traditional bank run. You got to think about it like this. We live in a fiat currency system and a fractional reserve lending system. So in theory, all of the banks are insolvent, right, technically. If everybody went to Chase Bank tonight and pulled all their money out, the bank would go bust, right? That's just the financial system we live in. It's a fractional reserve banking system. So it's not like, you got to understand, if you have $1 million sitting in a Chase Bank account and you go to your local Chase Bank branch, you can't pull out $1 million. They're gonna have to order the cash for you. Okay, I'm not sure if anybody here has ever gone to the bank and pulled out a large sum of money. Depending on where you are, they don't physically have the cash there, right? It's just digits on a screen. So when you log into your Chase account, when you log into your Charles Schwab account, Bank of America account, they're just digits, it's just numerized digits on a screen. It's not actual physical cash that are settled at the bank. They go in and then lend it out 3, 4, 5, 6 times over to make money on the deal. So with Silicon Valley Bank, we've sort of explained the horrible dichotomy, what happened there. The problem is this. Oh, you know what? Let's actually check out, I actually want to look at Alwyn Court again. I feel like we haven't seen Alwyn Court in a while. But anyway, if you think about what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, it was fueled by a couple things. Number one, massive amounts of stimulus were pushed into the market in 2021, sparked by the Federal Reserve, very, very easy monetary policy and also easy fiscal policy. Now, when you have artificially suppressed rates, investors are forced out into the marketplace to look for yield. And that goes into venture capital, very high risky investments. And what is the number one bank that was used for startups, right? Venture capitalist, VC-backed startups. Well, it was, you guessed it, Silicon Valley Bank. Now, if you think back to your Finance 101 class in college, I know this is a long time ago. I know it's a long time for me. Well, they teach you in banking, when you deposit money in a bank, that is not an asset to the bank. Deposits are liabilities to a bank because they're liable to give it back to you, right? So if I go to the bank and withdraw money, the bank is liable to give that money back to me. So it's a liability. So what the bank has to do is they have to find somewhere to put the money to make a yield on it. So they either lend it out to other people, they buy treasuries with it, they buy safe mortgage-backed securities, and that's sort of what they do. The problem, as we're looking at the gorgeous Alwyn Court here, it's one of my favorite buildings in the entire New York City. The problem is that they had about $80 billion of cash they didn't know what to do with. And they weren't speculating on toxic derivative assets. No, they weren't doing any of that. They just bought long duration, very, very low yielding mortgage-backed securities when interest rates were very, very, very low. Now, some smart investors who were, banking with Silicon Valley Bank, they sort of noticed this as interest rates started to go up, and they looked at the balance sheet and they said, whoa, the realized loss, or I should say the unrealized loss on a lot of these mortgage-backed securities that Silicon Valley Bank owns is astronomical, right? Because they plowed a ton of money into mortgage-backed securities that were yielding, I think, less than 3%, which makes sense, right? Because that's where interest rates were back then. And as we know, as rates go up, the valuation of those bonds deteriorate. So everybody started to ask their money back at once. And Silicon Valley Bank is obligated, they are liable to give the money back to the customers. So how do they get that money back to the customers? Well, they have to sell their assets. The problem is, they're selling their assets not at parity to where they bought it. In the first place, it's well off parity. They're selling it for probably 70 cents on the dollar. So that causes a massive bank run, and guess what? You're insolvent and the bank goes belly up. In theory, right? I'd like to say in theory, as we're looking at 220 Central Park South, that could happen to any bank in the United States at any time, in theory. The reason why you have Silicon Valley Bank, and particularly the regional banks that have the most egregious exposure to having these type of events happen, is because they have, well, at the time, they had the biggest exposure to long duration debt, particularly commercial real estate and things like that, if you think about regional banks. So when you hear all the bank run stir, I think a lot of it right now is just a lot of people who are just trying to drive a fear narrative. But when you understand the banking system, this could, in theory, literally happen at any time. It's the monetary system we live in. It's a fractional reserve banking system. Technically, everything's insolvent if everybody asks for their money back at once. Guys, one of my favorite buildings right here is the Firehouse, this FDNY Firehouse. It's gorgeous. Hey, Sean D is here. What's up, Sean? Jonathan France, it's good to see you. Kevin Grant says, Tom, do you think a cashless society is a negative prospect? Big Brother is watching us? I don't think so, but then again, all of my opinions are not right. I always like to make that apparent. Just because I say something here on Walks on Wall Street does not mean I'm right. It just means that that's my opinion, and everybody has an opinion, right? But I'll say this, and maybe it's because I come from a younger generation, right? I'm right on the border of Generation Z. I'm actually, and again, I totally respect everybody else's viewpoints. I have utmost respect for everybody else's point of view. But I think a cashless society in terms of physical cash is not only already here, I think it'll be a net positive for society. Now, I know that's freaking a lot of people out, but just go back and go line item by line item by line item throughout history of every single new technological innovation. It was met with fierce resistance, every single one of them, from electricity to the automobile and now even EVs and autonomous driving vehicles. I'll give you an example. How many times do you see these egregious hit pieces against electric vehicles, and particularly Tesla's autonomous driving vehicle, or I should say software, when you have, one car crash that's caused by a malfunction of the autonomous driving software in a Tesla? Oh my God, it is plastered all over the news. It's like, see, this is a stupid idea. This is why autonomous driving will never work. And it's all these, Sunday morning quarterback or Monday morning quarterbacks saying, see, this is stupid. This is why it'll never work. We need to stop this. Look, technology gets better and better and better. But how come you don't have articles every day of the millions of crashes that happen every day due to people's incompetence of falling asleep behind the wheel? Maybe they have a medical incident. Over the long term, autonomous driving is going to save countless lives. If we ever get, and not to really go off on a tangent here, but if we ever get to the point where we have true level 5 self-driving, there will never be not one death by a drunk driver ever again. Think about that. I have friends, family who are impacted by a death, just driving home, killed because somebody's driving drunk. That is obsolete. In our lifetime, that will be obsolete. If we have full self-driving, there will not be one crash caused by a driver that's under the influence. I think that's a big net positive for society. But in terms of a cashless society, look at all of the transactions that you do every day. It's already cashless. With all the money in circulation, there's not enough physical bills, dollars, and coins to cover all of the outstanding money in circulating supply. It just doesn't exist. So we're already there, right? The vast majority of transactions, I would bet the majority of you do every day, you're paying with Apple Pay, you're quick paying your friend, you're Zelling like a Chase Quick Pay. So we're already there. I think in 20 years, 30 years, I'm going to be telling stories to my kids saying, hey, did you know I actually used to have to hand that guy a physical piece of paper in exchange for goods and services? And my kids are going to look at me like I have 5 heads. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. I don't know, that's sort of my take on it. What do you guys think? I want to see the chatters who disagree. I want an alternative point of view. Hey, CD is here. What's up? Wendy England says, Tom, I exclusively use PayPal. I see my friend Jay Patel is here. Hey, Jay. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Noah says, good evening, Tom. Good to see you, Noah. Tom M says, any idea of your average walking distance nightly/weekly? It's a good question, Tom. I think including when I'm working, maybe like 13 miles a day. Kenny I says, didn't the pandemic push us faster towards a cashless society? That's actually a really good point, too. That's actually a really good point. The pandemic did probably push us a little bit closer towards a cashless society. The digitization of everything makes sense. Now, here's the big, hey, Deborah S. says, many have not still walked to collect. Hey, Khan says, Web3 is also worth a mention. I know, Prof says it feels weird using cash now. Okay, so this will be a good poll to do. How many of the chatters here, so everybody, the more people that can participate, the better. How many of you exclusively use Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, some sort of digital payment as opposed to physical cash? I'm interested to see the responses here. I'll give you my response. I don't remember the last time I've held physical cash in my hand. Serious. I don't. I exclusively use Apple Pay. And now, here's an update for you guys. When I was coming back from Miami, I always get pissed off when I have to take the air train because it's so archaic, they still have you use the Metro cards until a few weeks ago. There's the touchless, contactless pay now at the air train. So now it's absolutely fantastic. Roberts is usually use a debit or credit card, no Apple Pay. Renee says I'm probably 8 out of 10 cashless. Rocky Raccoon, what's up? Wendy England says I use my debit card. Evan Weeks says I pay my lawn guy in cash. My lawn guy, Evan, I pay him with Zelle, like the Chase Quick Pay. Lisa says never used Apple Pay. Jeff in Southern Tier, New York says Apple Pay when possible, but I live in rural New York, so sometimes I can't all the time. Hey, Terry says credit card mostly for the rewards points, no cash since 2019. Yeah, so my Apple Pay, essentially what I do is I link my Amex card to my phone. Because here's the thing, and here's another, value proposition of having things be cashless. Has anybody, and we've all been there, okay? We've all been there. You ever wake up one morning and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go check my credit card statement. And then you're like, whoa, $750 at a Walmart, $200 at a gas station. You're like, that's crazy. And then you're looking for your credit card all frantically and you're like, oh my God, I must have dropped my credit card on the street and somebody went on a spending spree. It's happened to me. That scenario has happened to me. That scenario is now impossible if you program your credit card into your phone and you throw away your credit card. That's what I do. So I have never had a fraudulent charge on my credit card since I've went totally Apple Pay or Samsung Pay. That's another value proposition. Emanuel says people who use cards spend more. Where did I hear that before? I think you're actually right. I think you're right. It's a psychological thing, right? If you're just tapping away, you don't really feel the burden of the money draining from your bank account as opposed to if you're handing over your cash. CD says, can't even remember the last time I've used cash. Lisa UK girl says, I feel sorry for the elderly who can't use internet, etc., and only use cash, and some live alone. That's a good point. We have to be cognizant of that too. Frank says crypto was sold as a payment system but became a store of value. I would say Bitcoin is a store of value. I think to say crypto is a store of value is a little bit of a stretch, but I definitely see that. Tone says people can also steal your credit card information using skimmers. Oh, you're right. I've heard about that. That's a good point too. Yeah, so if you use an ATM, right? If you have a debit card, you put your credit or debit card in the ATM. Some of these criminals have been getting so advanced where they put those skimmers and readers. So as you put it in, it uploads all of your information. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe a lot of the ATMs now from Chase and Bank of America, you can use your contactless Chase app, right? You just double tap the home button on your phone and you could tap the ATM. You don't even have to insert it anymore, I think. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams every day starting at 8:30 p.m. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Right now we're standing outside of the Trump International Hotel and Tower overlooking beautiful Billionaires Row. Ben Cunningham says, can steal it just by walking by with the RFID wallets. I've heard that too. I've never had it happen to me though. BNB 420 This is hand someone a $20 bill and watch them squirm to figure out the change. Sean D says, I can't wait for the day when all you need is your phone for payment, ID, open and close doors. Yeah, I mean, some people are very resistant to that. Some people are looking forward to that day. Apparently now, have you guys heard this one? If you go into a Whole Foods now, you don't even have to bring your phone. You don't have to bring anything. You have the ability to pay with your palm. So you just hold your hand in front of the reader, and from the biometrics, it'll just automatically charge you. I don't know how much that's going to come down the road or how much that'll catch on, but has anybody here in the chat tried that out at the Whole Foods? I don't know if I'm quite ready to try it just yet. I think I'll just stick to Apple Pay at this point. Mark Francis is not at my Whole Foods yet. So, okay, let's sort of spin that conversation, since it's earnings season, into a potential thesis. Right now, this is good. I think this live stream is very good for investment idea generation. And we always talk about, if you're a trader or you're an investor, one of the most important things to do as we're looking at these are the criminal, what is it called? Congestion pricing scanners. So if we had the conversation for a good 15 minutes that we are in concurrence, that we all agree that cash is going to become less and less relevant in our society, and you're going to have digital payments and digital transactions become more and more relevant, well, what particular industry, sector, or group is probably going to benefit from this and continue to benefit from this in perpetuity? Well, I have a few companies, and maybe I'll list them off. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, I think more specifically Visa and MasterCard, I'd say. And Visa and MasterCard just recently announced that they're increasing their payment fees. Did you guys hear that? Matthew M says, don't buy what you're selling, sorry. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a diverse opinion on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Kenny says, didn't Visa just increase their dividend? They did. They did. Now, Visa and MasterCard are sort of like a bully monopoly a little bit. Because look at their gross margins. And we'll talk about it when they report. But their gross margins are exploding. It's a very, very profitable business, Visa and MasterCard. And they keep increasing their prices. And this is why I believe, or I think I should say, anytime you go to a restaurant, who here has been to a restaurant recently in New York City, a major city, or even just in your own town? Chances are, you know, depending on the restaurant, they say, oh, we're going to charge you a 5% convenience fee if you want to pay with your credit card. It's not a 5% convenience fee. It's so they can make up it's so essentially they're passing that cost on to you. So anytime you go out to eat, right, at a restaurant, and you see that 3% credit card fee or convenience fee, whatever they want to call it, essentially what they're doing is the establishment is passing on the Visa, MasterCard, credit card processing charge to the consumer, which is you. That's essentially what they're doing. And I think you're going to continue to see that. And I think knowing that, right, prices are just going to continue to go up. That's what I think. Joe says, then pay cash. Well, then I got to deal with all the change flopping around in my pocket. It's just very inefficient to pay cash, I think. Yeah, so girl with the wealth says money laundering would essentially go away. Yeah, it'd be very, very difficult to do anything nefarious, right? Racketeering, money laundering schemes, it would be very, very difficult to get away with it. And I think that's why a lot of people are opposing it, right? I think that's why a lot of people are opposing the cashless society, because they say, oh, the government could just go in and shut down your transactions and they could dictate what you can and can't spend your money on. Right, that has been the main argument. Would you guys agree? That's at least the argument that is because the government could potentially come in and dictate what I can and can't spend my money on. Would we agree with that or disagree with that? Oh man, that really makes me want to skateboard again. Mark Francis says yes. I'm seeing some people say kind of. Well, let me tell you this, okay? The government can already do that 1,000%. If the government wanted to shut down your bank account tonight, they make one phone call to Jamie Dimon and your account is zeroed out tomorrow. Okay? They can already do that. If the government really, really wanted to be that vindictive and say, you know what, I don't really like this Walks in Wall Street kid. I think he's a punk. I think he's an asshole. And he doesn't deserve to be banked. Like a light switch, they could do that overnight. They could zero out my Interactive Brokers account, my Charles Schwab account, freeze all my assets. It's already here, okay? So, yeah, maybe if I have a couple $100, I'll be able to buy myself a Big Mac, but life is still going to suck. So, the reason why I say that is because I always tend to be an optimist in nature. I do believe in American exceptionalism. I really do believe that. I think that America will always be the world leader for good, and I don't believe in a dystopian sort of style society. It's not really how I don't want to live my life like that. To think that, it's going to turn into some dystopian style, where I have to, hide in my cabin in the woods and, eat dog food out of a can. I just don't see that happening. Now again, maybe I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong. It could turn out to be like that. But even if it does, and the person who's taking the other side of the trade as me, or of me, is right, our lives are both going to suck, right? Maybe you'll just have a little bit more canned food in your cabin in the woods than me, but life is still going to suck for the both of us. So that's sort of how my brain works. And that's sort of why I always push through and sort of very gung-ho with technology. So I don't know. It's sort of my thoughts on it. Hey, Juan Fernandez, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, wow. Jeff W277 says, I once had over $2,000 seized by the IRS because they didn't apply a payment I made to the correct tax year. It took me 4+ hours for them to send the money back to my bank. Yeah, see, they just go right in your bank account and take it. It's crazy. That's nuts. That's crazy. Now, we could have that whole other conversation about technically federal income taxes are unconstitutional, but unfortunately, if you fail to pay, they'll either just garnish all your wages or throw you in jail. That's what they did to Peter Schiff's father, Fred Schiff. All right, everybody, so we are now on Broadway, and we are going to continue to walk downtown. We are about to pass the Ed Sullivan Theater, where Stephen Colbert does his show. Ah, Will, you're right. Irwin Schiff, yes. Sorry about that. You know what, actually let's walk down here. I'll show you all the Central Park Hotel. We'll sort of zigzag through the side streets so you could check out some of the architecture here. Which is really beautiful. Hey, Carl Roth says, hey Tom. The best way to not pay taxes on income is to pay yourself a salary, the Elon Musk approach for entrepreneurs. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you still technically have to pay taxes, but I believe you're talking about like an S corporation structure. So I believe how an S corporation is structured, and I'm not a CPA, by the way. I'm not a CPA, so please go consult your CPA. But I believe the way an S corporation or an S corp is structured is where you could put yourself on a payroll, right? So you create a company and you are an employee. You pay yourself a reasonable salary, right? So let's say if your business is doing $1 million, you pay yourself $150,000, right? A reasonable salary, and then the rest is passed through to the business. So that pass through is not taxed as ordinary income tax, right? It's taxed at the lower corporate tax rate, which is very good tax strategy, actually. So you're right. Yeah, Carl Roth, you're pretty much right. Just to guys, is in the end, you still pay taxes, for sure, but at a lower rate. Optimus 17, you were supposed to pay yourself a reasonable salary with an S Corp. Absolutely. You know, in full transparency, that's the way I'm structured, by the way, right? That's my business. That's how I've been doing that for 4 years now. I pay myself a salary, and then, you know, the rest goes to the business. Hey, Deep Value Alex, good to see you on this earnings day, Microsoft and Alphabet. Oh, this looks like a brand new bodega. This used to be all vacant, guys. Remember this? This is actually very good. This entire block used to be totally blown out like this. But now we're having stores and shops come back. This is actually really good news. Very cool. I may have to go into this bodega and let you guys know how it is a little bit later. Looks like they have a nice deli counter back there. They have some pastries, that's good. Because not for nothing, this area was getting a little bit ratty after the pandemic, I'm not gonna lie. I think many of you would agree who's been watching these streams. It's been a little bit, well, maybe a lot, deteriorating. So it's good to see that some stores are filling the vacancy. That's going to be really, really good for the community. Because when you have a lot of vacant retail storefront, it attracts a lot of, you know, no good. Let's just say that. But, hey, RB is here. Good to see you, RB. Thank you for joining. This is evening, Thomas and all. Believe S Corp is not the best choice. C Corp, with paying yourself a salary. It really depends on what you're looking to do, right? It really, really depends on what you're looking to do. Are you looking to raise money? Are you looking to take your company public? How many partners do you have in the business? And again, I'm not a CPA. I am not a CPA, so please pretty much just ignore everything I say about tax strategy. I wish we had Ed Dunkel in the chat. Ed, maybe he's watching, but he's not chatting. Ed is a CPA. Ed is a very well-renowned CPA in New York City. His screen name is Ed Dunkel, but all right, we'll move on from that. Hey, CW's has made a huge day tonight on Microsoft. Nice. Well, congratulations to you. Yeah, I thought it was a good quarter. I was watching briefly CNBC a little bit, and there were some pundits on who were a little bit negative on Alphabet, mainly because Google Cloud did miss on Google's cloud revenue. But I mean, guys, I think some people are missing the bigger picture here. And again, maybe it's just because I'm an eternal optimist, but we'll talk about Microsoft in a second, but to quickly touch on Alphabet, right, or Google. For years, Alphabet's Google Cloud Computing unit of the company has been burning tons of cash and losing money. We've been talking about this for quite some time. If you remember, watching the streams from like a year or two ago. But I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're going to grow it, and once it turns profitable and they have an operating profit, this thing is going to go gangbusters for years. It's going to be profitable pretty much in perpetuity forever and continue to grow as cloud computing grows, as machine learning grows, as artificial intelligence continues to grow. So take a look at some of the cloud numbers, right? You could pull this up yourself. If you go to Alphabet's investor relations page, just go ahead and click on their investor deck and you'll have all of this data for you. I apologize, I didn't have enough time to program it into the Nightbot, but just head over to the investor relations page and check it out for yourself. Now look at operating profit for Google's cloud computing unit. Turned a $266 million profit. Now, in the grand scheme of things, as a percentage of revenue, I know that's nothing, but think about where operating profit was this time last year. There was no operating profit. It was an operating loss to the tune of $440 million loss this quarter last year. So to go from a $440 million loss consistently, now we've turned profitable. Cloud operating profit of $266 million. I think that's a win, even though we missed, right? So I don't want to, skate over the bad news. I'm going to report the good and the bad news. I like to be fair on Walks on Wall Street. Analysts' expectation for cloud revenue was $8.64 billion. We missed that, came in at $8.41 billion. So it missed the mark, not by a lot, but it did miss the mark, okay, in all fairness, but we are profitable. And profits matter, at least to me. I know, any thoughts on that? I know some people, share some concern, but I think for the economic environment that we're going through, right, this massive quantitative tightening cycle we're going through, and all of the global macro turmoil with wars breaking out all over the world and now another war breaking out, I would say it was a successful quarter, in my view. All right, everybody, we are now in front of the French Investment Bank. This is BNP Paribas, right here. I've told this story a million times, but we do have a lot of new viewers here. Way back in the day, there was a helicopter that crashed right here on the atrium of the BNP Paribas. Unfortunately, there was a fatality. The driver, or the helicopter pilot, passed away, but it could have been a lot worse. Oh, I didn't know that. Hold on, let me go back to that comment. Sorry, I missed that one. I think it was by Joe Driver. Let me see. All right, Joe Driver says, Tom, Meta is being sued by Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey for targeting minors. I did not know that. So targeting them, like what, serving them up inappropriate advertising? Could you expand on what you mean by targeting minors? Like inappropriate ads targeted at minors or like alcohol or something like that? Because in full transparency, I didn't hear that. I know that the state of New Jersey is suing New York for congestion pricing. All right, everybody, as a little bit of Wall Street history here, if you look at the building directly in front of us, this is Barclays Investment Bank. This is a British investment bank, but it didn't always used to be Barclays. Does anybody want to take a guess? This is like one of the most historic sites, in my view, in Wall Street history. Does anybody want to know what used to be right here? This used to be Lehman Brothers. So if you've watched a documentary on the Great Financial Crisis, chances are when you see all of the bankers walking out of the office with their cardboard boxes in hand, it was filmed right here. And after the financial crisis, Barclays took over the place. Yeah, and you got it right, Lehman Brothers. Hey, Robert Brunn, what's up? Good to see you. Hey, Florida says, I'm a new subscriber watching from Pompano Beach, Florida. Ooh, I'm jealous. Watching this tour makes me want to visit New York City. Well, please, come visit us, Florida. We not only love Florida, I have a place in Miami, but I agree. We want you to come. We welcome you here. So thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you in New York City very soon, my friend. All right, let's cross, and you know what I want to check out? Because I'm feeling a little festive. Yeah, I said it. I'm feeling a little bit festive tonight, guys. It's very crisp in the air. It's a cold night. I've got my Santa hat on. You guys can't see it because I don't show my face on camera, but I do have the Santa hat on. Let's check out Rockefeller Center. The Christmas ice skating rink is totally built. I believe 2 days ago was the first day that it was open, and maybe we'll see some people ice skating, so who knows. So happy Festivus and Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We'll check out 30 Rockefeller Center. Free MPLS is Santa hat selfie, or it didn't happen. Maybe you'll be able to catch a reflection of me somewhere. Who knows? Bree Graham says it's 78 degrees near me. Yeah, Bree's joining us from Phoenix, Arizona, so definitely a little bit warmer climate and a lot drier too. See, this is Tom. My old office is 135 West 50th Street. Nice. That's a good location. Carl Ross says, I love Thanksgiving in New York City. What an awesome time. I agree. Oh, Carl, I think I forgot to wish you a happy Thanksgiving for the Canadians. Or maybe I did. But anyway, regardless, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. It was a while ago. I may have missed it. I don't know. Hey, Blues Writers is the question everybody is asking. This is, did Tom bring his ice skates? Oh, did we? You guys will see. You'll see in a moment. Maybe we'll be cruising around on the rink. Never know. Hang with Mark Mom is here. What's up? Happy earnings season to you. This is Hey Tom Mods in chat. We're going to Rockefeller Center. Yeah, oh, that's another thing. The Christmas tree is going to be up, what, just right before Thanksgiving? Guys, it's already November, right? Next week is November. I believe November starts on Tuesday. Anyway, I mean, I think we covered a lot, right? We covered Alphabet's earnings report. Oh, the other thing I don't think we covered is YouTube advertising revenue. So YouTube advertising actually beat analyst expectations. Came in at $7.95 billion. So advertising revenue is picking up yet again. Analysts were expecting 7.81 billion. So it seems like advertisers are still spending going into the holiday season, pretty much right in the face of almost every single person on Wall Street claiming that the economy and consumer spending is going to grind to a halt. We'll see. Florida, says Tom. I saw the Rockettes in Atlanta and Nashville several years ago. What a great show. You know, if you saw them there, you have got to make a trip to New York City and see them at Radio City Music Hall. So the Rockettes open on November 17th, the Christmas. Been saying, and what a lot of the most successful investors of all time say, is that you really want to identify a company, right, who will not only increase the amount of free cash they generate over the lifetime of the business, but also compounding out their EPS growth by about 25% plus per annum, right, or annualized EPS growth rate. But in addition to that, what's very important is not only to have a beat, but to have a beat and raise quarter. And essentially what that means is if, you know, Wall Street analysts are expecting a company to earn $1 a share on $1 billion worth of revenue, if they actually report, you know, $1.50 on maybe $1.5 billion in revenue, and they raise their forward guidance and say, you know what, you know, we had a really good quarter. Our customers are actually pulling forward a lot of our spend, or I should say their advertising spend, or their IT spend, depending on what business you're analyzing. We're going to raise our forward guidance for a fiscal year revenue of $3 billion. We're going to raise it all the way to $3.5 billion. That would be considered a beat and raise quarter. And that's really when many of the stocks get a move on. Because when you have revenue targets and estimates, oh, what are they doing here? Oh, maybe it's closed, or maybe you have to walk around, let's see. But when you have revenue targets and profitability targets raised by the corporation, now every single analyst on Wall Street has to update their financial models to reflect the new valuation. And that's why you can sometimes see these massive moves after hours, right? So the reason why I say that is because if you were on the earnings call today from Microsoft, they gave a rosier than expected outlook for their Azure cloud growth. They said for fiscal 2024, they expect Azure to grow 26 to 27%, with increasing contribution from artificial intelligence. That's about 2 percentage points more than what they had originally thought, driven by advancements in AI. So very good news. All right, here we are at Rockefeller Center. You can see the ice skating rink here. But if you guys want to receive all of my equity research for free, so all of the things we talk about each and every night on Walks on Wall Street, go ahead and scan the QR code. If you can't scan it, you could just click the QR code. You could tap it with your finger. Just punch in your email and you will be subscribed to our Behind the Street newsletter, where every other Thursday you will receive our research piece for free. So this Thursday after the market closes, I will be sending everybody an email with our latest edition of the Behind the Street newsletter. So if you want to sign up for that, which I suggest doing, take advantage of it. punch in your email and subscribe. But I think the ice skating rink looks amazing. What do you guys think? Now, if I had to make a suggestion, if you want to go to the ice skating rink, I'd probably do it right now. Because, I mean, during the holidays, this is going to be crazy packed. So if you're a tourist and you're visiting the city, maybe visit a little bit earlier and go ice skating right now. Because I can guarantee once the Christmas tree goes up in a few weeks here, you're not even going to be able to move here. So keep that in mind. Hey, Colton Manning, what's up? Good to see you. Look at that. This is Saks Fifth Avenue. This looks really nice here. Hey, Joe says, where does the Christmas tree go? It goes right here. It'll be literally right here. I don't know, what do you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on Rockefeller Center? It's going to look 10 times better in a few weeks when all the Christmas lights are up. They usually have the angels lined up all the way down to Fifth Avenue. I don't know what this is on Saks Fifth Avenue, but they usually have the best holiday light display ever. It actually looks like the lights are turning on now. I don't know if that's a holiday display, but I'm curious to see if this whole thing is going to light up. One thing I am going to miss, though, is all the flowers that are planted at Rockefeller Center. Because when it starts to frost, all these flowers are going to die. And the flowers here look beautiful. Hey, Kenny, this is Tom. Have you been to the New York City Halloween Parade? I went last year and it was great. You know what? I haven't been... Well, okay, that's not true. I've been to like the very end of the parade, but I could still see all the costumes. But I haven't like sat and watched the parade. I usually live stream and check out once the parade ends and check out all the costumes. But you're right, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Now, we are right here at St. Patrick's Cathedral. And the building all the way in the back is the very famous Olympic Tower. Hey, Tortellini, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 20,000 years. Hopefully you're doing well. This is Trump still in New York City? Well, according to Jeff in Southern Tier, New York, I think he just got here today. We started the live stream all the way up by the Trump Tower, and there was tons of security. They blocked the entire street off. If you rewind all the way to the beginning of the stream, you'll see all of the, what's it called? The barricades out around Trump Tower. Now, I haven't been following what's going on with that. So I don't really have any comment, but all right, let's see if I can get you guys all the way down at 34th Street. Hey, Marcelo Gill, check this out, my friend. Marcelo is our friend from UBS. Marcelo, you can see the UBS logo right here. So thank you for joining us. Hey, Ken Glass, they still have, oh, they still drive dirt bikes around New York City? Well, I mean, the NYPD was trying to crack down on that in a big way. All right, one more look at the ice skating rink. Dan says, do you know how much it costs to ice skate? I think $17. I was watching a Here Be Bar video earlier today at the office, and I think he said it was $17, which isn't too bad. $17 to ice skate there? Not bad. Oh, for those of you who didn't hear the very beginning of the live stream, today, our team, we went to the most amazing exclusive broker preview I have ever been to. So the 83rd floor, the entire 83rd floor of 157. So that's the first building to ever be constructed on Billionaires Row. It's going to be coming back on the market as a resale. And I went there today between the hours of 3 and 4, and oh my God. You know, when you watch all of those really, really well done, like stunning property tour videos on YouTube by like an Eric Conover or something like that, it looks so majestic, and they capture these Billionaires Row buildings so magnificently. But I will say this, oh my God, when you see it physically in person, it's almost indescribable. And I'm not just saying that. 83 floors above Central Park in a full floor unit. I mean, wow. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. A broker who we do a lot of business with, our team, has the listing Noble Black. He's one of the top real estate brokers in New York. So if you're interested, an amazing property is about to hit the market on the entire 83rd floor of 157. Please reach out to him and his team, Noble Black, because his listing is just unlike anything I've ever seen. It was such a clear day. You could see all the way to the George Washington Bridge. You could see all the way down to the World Trade Center. It was unbelievable. It was really, really unbelievable. Hey, Soho Joe, what's up? Good to see you. All right, let's walk downtown past the News Corporation building. I know, Michael Joseph's says the places always look bigger in real life. It was, I don't know how to describe it. It was just like crazy seeing it. It was amazing. All right, so to the right of us is News Corporation. William J. O'Neill, before he passed away, sold his company to News Corp for about $250 million. That is Investors Business Daily. Optimus 17 says, I can only imagine how breathtaking it is. It's so crazy. When you get off the elevator and you walk into this huge, it's a living room, but it's not a living room. It's like a ballroom. And they're 12-foot ceilings, and you just see Central Park. It's just so crazy. And now, since it's almost November, you can see all of the leaves changing in the park. It's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's silent. It's like radio silence up there. It's like living in a cloud. It's really something. It's really something. You guys have got to go up there. Yeah, that's all I'll say. I don't even have the words to describe it. It's so crazy. And the place is over 6,500 square feet. Like, I don't even think I have enough personal belongings to even be able to fill the apartment. Right, I was thinking about that. I was walking around in all the bedrooms. I mean, I think the bathroom is bigger than my house. And I actually think it's right about 1,000 square feet or something like that, something crazy. The bathroom in the spa that connects the primary to the secondary. I don't even know if I've ever had enough belongings in my entire life to be able to fill that apartment. It's crazy. Okay, we're passing Marsh McLennan. This is also the home to D.E. Shaw, which is a very, very successful and very profitable quantitative hedge fund. This used to be my building, 45th and 6th Avenue. Hey, Zozo Bob, what's up? Hope everything's well in South Florida. Let's head down towards Bank of America Tower. All right, you can see Bank of America Tower and you can see Salesforce Tower. So Brian Moynihan and Mark Benioff back to back. And then to the left, you have One Vanderbilt. Let's actually go down the side streets. We'll check out more of the side streets. I've had a lot of emails saying, turn off the avenues, go down the side streets. All right, we'll go down the side streets. This is the Red Flame Diner. I've never been here, but I have a rule for diners. If the interior doesn't look very, very old, I won't go. I only want to go to like a 1980s style retro diner that's been there forever in the neighborhood. Now, my favorite diner is the Massapequa Diner. Anybody in the chat ever been to the Massapequa Diner on Long Island? They have a menu item called the Gambino Omelet. And I believe that's because the mobster used to go there and sit in the Massapequa Diner and order that exact omelet, and they named it after him. Oh no, excuse me, the Capone. It's called the Capone omelet. Al Capone used to sit in the Massapequa Diner. And they named a dish after him. That's what he would always order, right across the street from Massapequa train station. Oh, that was the Harvard Club to the left. I think the Cornell Club is around here somewhere. I think the Harvard Club, the Cornell Club, and then the Yale Club. I just don't know what street the Cornell Club is on. Oh, is that right, Robert? Says there was an episode of Friends where they went to the Massapequa Diner. I didn't know that. I don't watch the show. What year did Friends come out? I think Friends came out the year I was born. DJ's Cedar Creek Deli. Yeah, Cedar Creek Park. 1994. Yeah, so right around when I was born. I was born in 95. So me and Friends are exactly the same age. I'll have to watch it. I watch Seinfeld. I watch a ton of Seinfeld. I just don't really watch any Friends. All right, everybody, we are back on Fifth Avenue. Ooh, Dan saying maybe we'll do that tomorrow. We'll walk past Blood Manor. Brad's like, Friends was great, but it didn't hold up. Stick with Seinfeld. Yeah, I think Seinfeld is timeless. You know, my favorite, not to really go off the rails here, but this is my favorite interview of all time. I'll tell you what it is. My favorite interview by far of all time is Jerry Seinfeld getting interviewed. Oh my God, how can I forget the name? Who's that guy? He's like the very, very old talk show host that's been around forever. Larry something. It's not Larry David. I don't know. I'm blanking on the name. Oh, this is going to kill me all night. It was Jerry Seinfeld being Larry King. You're right. Major Minus, thank you so much. Google Seinfeld being interviewed by Larry King. Hilarious. He was like, so you were on for so many seasons and then it got canceled. And Seinfeld just absolutely tears him apart. He's like, you think I got canceled? He's like, there's a huge difference from being canceled and being number one. You gotta watch that. Matthew M says watch it every night, good laugh. Seinfeld's great. I like his stand-up comedy. It's very New York, it's very dry. I like it. 10 out of 10. All right, Madison Avenue. Colton. Well, Seinfeld is from Massapequa. We're from the same town. I wonder how much Jerry Seinfeld is worth today. I think he may be a billionaire. Or close to it. Great view of the Chrysler Building. Hey, Eric W. says, didn't Jeff Bezos work at D.E. Shaw? He did. That was Jeff Bezos' first job out of college. That was his first job ever. He was an analyst at the Quantitative Hedge Fund. He was probably making a ton of money. And, let me check the battery. I think we got to go because my battery's going to run out. But you're right. And Jeff Bezos pitched David Shaw on the idea of Amazon. And David Shaw said to Jeff, he's like, Jeff, that's a really good idea for somebody who already doesn't have a really good job. So thank God Jeff Bezos pushed ahead with the idea. But guys, we are going to end the stream here. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I think we had a good conversation about Google's earnings as well as Microsoft's earnings. If you want to receive all of our equity research for free and sign up for our newsletter, just scan the QR code or tap the QR code on the screen, punch in your email, and you'll be signed up to receive all of our research every other Thursday after the market closes. So you don't want to miss that. If you enjoyed the stream tonight, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and we will be back here live from New York City tomorrow night. This Thursday, after the closing bell, look out for the email because I'm going to send it to everybody right around 4:30, and let me know what you think. So Wendy England, appreciate it. Gary Carpenter, all of our moderators, DC322, Robert, Karina Thompson. There's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. And we will see you all right back here tomorrow, Wednesday. Take care.